Heard what I'm going to say. I will not repeat, but I try to go in depth in some questions which are concerning management of education and responsibility. How do we share it between the local municipalities and the central government? First, some words about Estonia. It's much smaller than Slovakia. A member of most of the same international organizations, close to Finland, which is known for a very good education system, but our systems still have quite many differences also. And what is important, if we are talking about Estonia, is that we consider us as a digital nation, digital society. So in school we use quite a lot of digital tools and data which is available for managing the system. We are ranked in many rankings which concern entrepreneurship, digital development, and freedom of the society quite highly. It's not mentioned here, but really in PISA results we are concerning life science, we are first in Europe and third in the world after Singapore and Japan. So the education system seems to be working, because PISA is measuring not the academic results of the children only. Of course, they are also important. You can be creative and successful if you don't have this basic knowledge about facts. But the question is that PISA is actually measuring what you can do with the facts and knowledge you have obtained at the schools. So it's quite often mixed and thought that there are a lot of things that you have learned, but actually it's not just learning by heart, but it's learning how to learn and how to develop. So, but as it was already mentioned, Estonia is not a homogeneous society where everybody is on the same level of wealth or even regional, religious and national differences are quite big. We have a big Russian-speaking minority, almost 25%. We have big differences in income compared to small regions far away from the bigger cities, and we have a different situation. And of course in bigger cities there are also different social groups. But we have really achieved the result, but according to PISA, again, the Estonian education system is the most equal in the world. So the background of the parents, the socio-economic background, doesn't matter so much. You can be from very poor family but still achieve the top results. How we are doing it is the question, of course. One of the stories behind it all, before I'm going to present, is we didn't start, of course, 1991 when we're gaining of independence. The history that all boys and girls have to obtain the basic knowledge, have to learn to read and do some math and speak language. This goes back to the 17th century, when the Swedish king Gustav II Adolphus created our first university of Tartu, and the school network of comprehensive schools also started. Of course, since 1918 the situation was changed. It was not only German and Russian, but it was Estonian has not been the only language in public schools, but in higher education and on higher levels. But the roots of this reform pedagogy, do we have to change something in the education system, but the changes must be not revolutionary but evolutionary, is somehow well accepted in the society. And education is always on top agenda of politicians also. Even during the Soviet period, actually the Soviet Union was a decentralized empire actually, so the language in which education was conducted in different republics was still the mother tongue of people. So in Estonia, it was in Estonia, we used even our own study programs, textbooks and so on. And the compulsory education, that time was 8 grades. Of course, 91 started major changes in the society, and the education system has always to correspond to changes. So it was, of course, main changes were in the field of humanities and social sciences. But we'll come to the changes in the curricular development later. And when we are talking about changes in the education system, we have to admit that the average age of the teachers is quite high. Even in Estonia, it's more than 50, so most of the teachers have got their or they were prepared for the work they're doing right now in a totally different society, but they are still managing to do their job very well. What happened was also that the compulsory education was changed from 8 to 9 grades, so it means that at least you have to end the basic school, or in the age of 17, it's not compulsory anymore. But 97% of the students, of course, continue at upper secondary education or schools, gymnasiums, or vocational education. Now I'm coming to the topic which is most important when considering today. The Estonian education system is based, I think, on 3 pillars. First of them is a professional teacher on different levels. Second one is a curriculum, which is tool for the teachers, what is implemented the same way all over the country. And third is external evaluation, that it's not the inspections or very bureaucratic way, but it's really feedback to the system. But starting from the teachers and responsibility for that. As you can see, starting from kindergarten and preschool education, it's the responsibility of local municipalities. But we have national curriculum even for kindergartens, and 96% of children go through it to be prepared for basic school or primary education. We had a problem that the salary level of teachers in kindergartens was very different in different parts of Estonia. So a government which coalition which was formed 1.5 years ago decided that the central government will support the local governments where the salary level was too low, but they had to put in their own money also. So in a way, central government intervened, but temporarily, in the hope that really the salary levels will be raised in all local municipalities for the kindergarten teachers. And it's in the hand of local municipalities, and the government doesn't say so much about everyday life at all. Coming to primary and basic school, you can see that master's degree is needed to be qualified teacher. It is possible to hire unqualified teacher also, but you can't sign a contract for more than 1 year. Contract is signed by the headmaster of the school, and he or she hires the teacher, but usually at least master's degree is required. And that makes, I think, teachers real professionals, because they know their own subject, they know how to be teachers, and they know what to demand from children, parents, and even the headmaster. The funding scheme, I will talk about it also later, as the responsibility for this basic schools network lies on the local governments. The central government still provides the funds, so that at least minimum wage plus 20% of can be paid to the teachers, so that all over Estonia the national curriculum can be fulfilled. So money comes from the central government, but all the decisions how to use it are made on local level. On school network questions, on the local municipality decision-making body, and what concerns about the school life every day is a question of headmaster and teachers, of course. And coming to upper secondary education, there is mixed responsibility right now in Estonia. As we saw the problem with the quality of upper secondary education, because some of the, as we call them, probably you call them also gymnasiums, the quality of them was very different in different parts. We decided to create state-owned upper secondary schools in every county. We have 15 counties at least, and we have them in place at least in half of them. It means that local municipalities will close their upper secondary institutions and concentrate to give a high quality basic education. In bigger cities, of course, the local municipality or town council, it's up to them if they want to give over the gymnasium to the central government, or if they want to keep them themselves. But basically, the idea is that everything what is before upper secondary education should be in the hands of local governments, local municipalities, and upper secondary education, which means both academic gymnasiums and vocational education, should be in the hands of central government. Coming back to teachers, we have very long traditions in education system. It's always difficult to change the system, and we had professional levels which were quite bureaucratic system with tarifications and very much counting of the contact hours. During those reforms, which started already in 2005 with the introduction of professional standard and transmission of evaluation of teachers' competencies, first in 2013 we really made a change, and now we have 4 levels of professional standards, which is voluntary. But of course, we are quite sure that everybody wants to develop him or herself professionally if you are professional, and the second question is that the headmaster of the school wants to have professional teachers in there. school working, of course, and the owner of the school or local municipality, of course, it's a question of honor to have also very good teachers, very good staff. So we didn't have this very bureaucratic system, or do not have this of attestation and verification anymore. And it's really in the hands of school headmaster how to decide about the salary, how to decide about the working load and everything else. It has created some problems, of course, also because the headmasters are different and some of them are used to old system and doesn't want to change so much. It's also possible, of course, if you want to, but the younger generations actually already waiting for something different. And the responsibility for developing programs of teacher training and graduates, of course, lies on universities, and the programs respond to professional standards. So everybody graduating from university automatically gets a professional standard qualification also. What we are quite proud of is that in Estonia as a country, in OECD countries where the teacher's salary is raising fastest, it was some kind of agreement in the society that we had to do it. We can talk forever we want how important the teacher's profession is, how big mission and how valuable it is in society. But if you pay only 600 euros a month, then it's very difficult to convince the people to choose the job of teacher. So we have reached a situation where hopefully next year already the teacher's salary will be around 1,500 or 1,500 euros. Of course, it can be bigger and can be smaller also, but the minimum wage is also set by the government and you can't pay less than it. And of course, the central government gives the funds to local municipalities, but it's up to them if they want to add to it. So there are some regional problems because the teacher's salary in some of the regions might be the highest of all, because there are not so many things to do and not so good workplaces to get more money. So it's of course high salary in regions, in bigger cities. If a city wants to be in competition for good teaching staff, probably they have to add their own money also, and many of them do it actually. It was the teachers and how we in a way value them and share responsibility. But the second one is what is important is of course curriculum, because it is a tool which teachers are using every day. And it's outcome based. We have this layer plan model, which was, I think, a whole of Warsaw Pact countries, more or less the same, very detailed description how and what to do. We changed it in the beginning of 90s, and from 96 we have also already this framework like curriculum. And the idea with every change has been to give more decision-making freedom to schools, but they should integrate more different subjects, do more cooperation in schools and outside the schools also with the community. In 2010 there were bigger changes when we separated primary and upper secondary curriculum. They were together before that. General competencies was something which we were not talking so much because it was so important to have very good subjects competences. but we are talking more and more, and of course working on them at school. And the last changes were 2014, where we made the document to be more understandable for not only pedagogical professionals, but even for parents also, to understand what actually is happening at the school. And what was important and maybe interesting also was that we added digital competence as one of general competencies. It means that it's not something that you are learning at info technology lesson only at the school, but it should be present all the time. And I think that it helps actually our teachers also to do more cooperation, because it gives you more free time when you can integrate the different subjects much better. We are not saying that children can't come with their smartphones to the schools. Contrary, we are trying to produce content to use it for the school, so they can learn it easier. I hope at least that the teachers are happy with less bureaucracy, because they don't have to fill any papers, but everything is digital, so I can get my overview what my children are doing almost online, so I can react, and of course the children themselves also get feedback from the teachers, so very, very fast. And as I said, we try to measure the outcomes of the process, not the process itself. In more strategic view, we have to help build those pillars and keep them strong. We have 5 main goals in our strategy. First is change in project learning, but it should be more student-centered, so every student can really achieve what she or he is capable to do. In a way, it concerns also inclusive education. Of course, competent, motivated teachers, school leadership, both are crucial if you want to achieve good results. Labor market employers are always complaining that knowledge may be very good, but skills and career choices are not what the labor market needs. So we are working with digital focus is quite natural for us. And the aim of this program, we have implementation programs also, is that in 2020 it should be possible to learn without using paperback textbooks anymore. So if the school chooses, it should be possible to use all the digital material. And it's not allowed to publish textbooks right now in Estonia which doesn't have digital copy, but digital which should be both digitally if it's produced on paperback, so it should be 2 possibilities to use it. And of course, with equal opportunities and increased participation is most relevant for today, because it means that the school network should be high quality, and it should be accessible for everybody in all parts of the country. Even on the smallest island where maybe there are 3 students, they should get actually at least in a basic school the same program as in the big cities. And that's what we are working on. As you can see, we have had also a problem with decreasing population, especially in rural areas. So it's quite a few students per teacher in general education, but in a way it's good, in a way it's bad, because OECD says that the number of students in a class doesn't make so big role if you want to achieve results. So it can help when there are more different students in one classroom to really develop them all together. So it's not always a good idea to have very small classrooms. But how we are funding all this system with great teachers and working curriculum. We have coefficients which are meant especially for the regional development. But first of all, if you're in a big city and you have normal classroom, then you get with the teacher salaries from the central government approximately 1,500 euros per student. Plus headmaster's salary, it's quite a small amount, so most of the local governments add themselves also. We have special funds for teacher and headmaster training. It's not only from the central government, but it's even from the foundation which was created and with the help of European Union funds. So approximately 3% of salary funds should go to continuous training of teachers and headmasters. For study materials, centrally we give also per student 57 euros, and teacher can decide which kind of materials they use, digital, paperback, or another. The most important is that they reach the goals of national curriculum. When we were talking about the equal treatment, the school lunch is also supported by the government, and most of the local municipalities operate for free. It's very important to really, for children to feel that they are equal at the school and they really get the same possibilities. So you can't. So if you're very clever but hungry, your parents don't have money. It's of course something that you can help the school and make. It's sad, but there are some families which can't provide warm lunch, and it's replaced at school when they get it. And unfortunately, during the summer break, which is quite long in Estonia, from June to September, we see really that there are children which are in problem because we don't get this food. And of course, talking of inclusive education, the local governments get now funds per student for inclusive, for support personnel or other stuff it's needed to really help the students to go into normal schools and not to stay at special schools. Of course, we have special schools, but those are really for the kids which are not able at all to participate at normal schools. But usually, more and more parents are choosing the way that they want to go to children to a school closest to a home. And on the next slide, you can see how we are calculating those coefficients to regions. So it doesn't depend on the number of schools in your municipality. It depends on the students per teacher ratio in that local municipality. So if you have less than 8 students per teacher in your community, then you can get twice as much as in bigger cities from the central government. But it's up to you how many schools you can have in your local government. community. You can add your own finances and pay more salary, or you can have more schools in your local government. We had a problem that in many local communities they had only one school, and the main idea of existing of this local government was to keep this school, because more than a half of the budget of community went to education. Now we made communal reform last year. Instead of almost 300 local communities, we have 57. And of course in this bigger one we are already talking that maybe we should still think that we keep only 6 classes schools in remote areas. We will concentrate this 9 plus basic schools and centers, and so they can spend more money on teachers' salaries and less on keeping the schools or houses or buildings, and the quality is more important than just having the school in a way. And in upper secondary education, most of the local communities already have made decisions that the quality is more important than a school with very few students which don't have a very bright future, to be honest, because to give many choices, to give better teachers, you just have this critical mass. And as you can see, it's not only the support I was talking about on the previous page for inclusive education. It was really the support for support personnel, for any kind of support related to special needs, but we pay special money for teachers also, so you can have smaller classes which are, if you have very specific special needs, not more than 6 children in a class, and if you have a bit less, then it's up to 12. And then accordingly to that, it's funded also. And the money goes not directly to the school, it goes to a local municipality, and they decide how to distribute it. And now I'm coming to a third pillar of a system in a way, and if it's measurement or external evaluation. When we're talking about PISA tests, there are also voices in the world globally which say that you can't measure anything in education, that you can't compare it, it's not human and whatever. But we see the fact that it is possible, maybe not rank the schools or make some kind of harsh decisions according to them, but it's important to give feedback to the school owners, to parents, and of course to children also, so that they will not go through the school 9 years and they discover in the end of 9th grade, but that they haven't learned so much as a neighboring community, maybe a town or village teacher has been maybe a bit different teaching process. So it is important to give feedback. We have national exams in the end of 9th and 12th grade, but we have sample-based tests since '97 in the end of 3rd and 6th grades also. So you can't choose, or you can't say that I will not participate if you are in sample, but you can always say that I want to be. And there are many schools which take it every year to really get feedback how we are doing. As we are going over to electronically testing, we are thinking about abolishing this system that they are only in the 3rd and 6th, and to make more tests available for the schools so they can choose whenever they want to take them in different subjects, so they can really measure and know what the system, how the system is working. In the end of primary school, we have those exams and creative work also, which has become more and more important. And the same concerns upper secondary education. We're working with the importance of formative assessment, so to give more feedback to the teachers how they are actually doing. And we have introduced more and more ways to make the children understand that it's not only the exam or test what they're learning for, but it's important to learn how to continuously really learn throughout the life. And that's why we are doing some kind of questionnaires together with tests and exams also. We ask how do you feel about why are your results like they are you happy with your teacher? But we have also bullying questionnaires which concern school bullying and different aspects of it, which actually gives feedback to school owners also. What about the schoolwork, our teachers, our parents, our children satisfied with the work which done? Of course, we can't take it 100%, we can never do some kind of rankings of well-being, but still we get quite valuable information. And it all, as I mentioned, it's one of our strategic goals also to change this approach to learning, and it has been already from 1991. From this outcome-based curriculum, which gives really opportunity to set the process by every school themselves how to reach those goals, but we are not saying that how to go through this process. What was important was the establishment of Estonian Education Information System. So all the data is what is happening at the schools, how many teachers, how many qualified teachers, how many square meters, how many whatever academic results, how many students, everything is available online more or less for persons of course who need them, but this generalized data is available for all the school owners, all the public also. So if you want to see how your school is doing compared to a school in next village, you can just go and compare it to a special page which was created by the Ministry of Education. It's called Eye of Education, something like big proverb watching you maybe can be translated. But we use data very extensively in Estonia, and we don't have any problems with giving our data to government because the turnout of it, that you get so much things so much easier done, is really paying back so much that we don't have any problems with this data. I have touched many things already in this on this slide, so it's a way to a really student-centered learning. And I will conclude with some challenges we still have. First of all, them is that when the skills and knowledge in the end of basic school, which is measured by PISA and many other tests also actually are quite good in Estonia, when the choices after the basic school are not maybe very logical always. They don't go to vocational schools, or they don't go to higher education after upper secondary education. So there are things how to help together with the school owners to with the local communities to understand what are actually career possibilities in companies, because it's not where, of course, the school doesn't have to prepare young people for work life or to be employed by some company, but on the other hand, if you don't know what is happening in your community, what are the career possibilities, what to study to stay in your village if you want to really find a job, then it's quite clear that you end up with moving to a bigger city or abroad, and cooperation between the local community and the school should be much better. And of course the question of digitalization, artificial intelligence, and everything else is also on the table. And on the other hand, we have a problem that the results for the Russian-speaking schools and Estonian schools are still significantly different. All graduates of the basic schools from Russian-speaking families should learn so much Estonian that they can continue at upper secondary level in Estonia, because we don't have Russian-speaking upper secondary or higher education. And in most cases, of course, we learn, but there are still some regions in Estonia where it's not the case. And of course, lack of teachers. We have raised salaries, we have said that it's very valuable, but still young people think that it's too hard work. It's only positive side is that you have almost 3 months of vacation during summer, but hopefully we can change the attitude so that everybody is really learning throughout life and what is needed. So I will end my presentation right now, and I will be happy to discuss later and answer questions.